I'm Katja and I love wine, and today I want to talk about something quite special. Muscadet. There's so much confusion about Muscadet. Is it a grape variety? Is it a place? Is it type of soil? Is it a joke? I'll break it down for you today. I'll break it down for you. In order to be called Muscadet, this white wine has to be made of one specific grape variety, Melon Blanc. And already I bet you probably never heard of it. Well, it is a really strange grape variety. It probably has a multiple personality disorder by now because it's got like 30 different synonyms. You call it Melon Blanc, Melon de Bourgogne, even Muscadet. So the wine is called Muscadet, and then the grape variety is called also Muscadet. It's a bit confusing, but anyway. It must be a white wine, so there is no red Muscadet, and it must be made in the region of Pays Nantais, which is so beautiful right there at the Atlantic Ocean. I visited once and I got a little oyster overdose there. For many years, Muscadet has been considered a super mediocre wine. So no flavor, like a balcony wine, like a terrace wine. Wine to drink and not to think. Wash those oysters with wine. I'll just have any white wine. Why? It was disrespected or frowned upon in those high wine circles, aka snobs. But why, you may ask? Loire and Pays Nantais in particular are both amazing places to grow wine. You've got a super interesting climate with oceanic influences, like you have the Atlantic Ocean right there. It's on the coast. Such a unique, diverse soil type. You've got gneiss, amphibolite, schist, granite. Super cool. Those metamorphic rocky soils, you know. And of course, I've got passionate winemakers who love what they do. Well, turns out the reason why the Muscadet wines were not so popular lays in the grape variety itself. It's a bit lethargic. It's a bit lazy. Doesn't do much. You know, doesn't have much aroma. Doesn't like to work a lot. It's a bit sleepy even. So, well, it turns out you just need to wake up that sleeping beauty to kind of develop a new approach to that grape variety in order to, make it all work. Because what's really good about Melon Blanc is that it is resistant to frost. And that frost is something that happens quite often in this region of the Loire Valley of the Pays Nantais because it's quite humid. And so the temperatures usually drop because we have this continental oceanic climate, and it may get quite cold. And for the winemakers, it has a lot of problems. This year, 2021, no, last year, 2021 was a bit oof. So it's great to have a grape variety which is quite resistant to frost. And so, yeah, there were a couple of winemakers who could do the task super well, and one of them was Jo Landron. They were this kind of generation of winemakers who started rethinking the grape variety Melon B and started to kind of philosophizing about, okay, how can we make this work with this grape variety? What can we do to make the wine more, interesting? And so right now it's an absolutely genius wine. On one hand, you have these you have this lightweight kind of styles, but they have character, they have identity, they're really interesting to drink, extremely refreshing, this tonic quality. And on the other hand, you have these wines that can age for many, many years. I have, for instance, a 2002 Muscadet during this tasting today, and I thought, wow, blew my mind, jaw-dropping experience. I could not imagine that Muscadet can wait for that long. And I promise you, if you are a total wine geek like me, and if you have many wine geek friends, and if you want to bring one special bottle during your blind tasting or just any dinner to impress the other wine lovers or people who think they know about wine, bring that, and I promise you it's going to be a very cool and very eye-opening experience about Muscadet, because the wines are truly great. On the bottle, if you really want to have a special Muscadet, if you want to age it in your cellar to experience the complexity of Muscadet, look for the words on the bottle. Look for the words like Clisson, Goulaine, Gorge, and Le Palais. And if you don't have the patience to age them for like 15 years, then look for the bottle on the bottle name just for the Muscadet Sèvre Maine. This is a truly unique sign of quality. Muscadet Sèvre Maine. That'll do. Now, I have got 4 Muscadets with me today, and so what I did was I don't know. Well, actually, let me just try to... Okay, this is our first one. It is called Amphibolite, as you can hopefully see. Yeah. Right off the bat, you've got lots of fresh aromas, more like a lime touch. Every time I have a muscadet in front of me, especially if it's a young muscadet, I have this wonderful aroma of sea breeze. And this is what it reminds me of, this freshness. But it's not sort of too overwhelming freshness. It's a warming freshness. So a summer sea breeze. Very fresh. Acidity is there, tickling my palate. Super refreshing. Got this very drying sensation, as if someone took a kind of a wet pebble stone and kind of brushed it against your palate. It's very pleasant. This lime quality stands out even more on the palate. Love that. Next one, Les Houx, or I think it's Les Houx. So here we go. Now here it is a 2018 vintage. The color is getting a bit more intense. You can notice that it's developing in more of a golden direction already. This one's giving me more of a grapefruit vibe, you know, more intensity, more of a grapefruit zest, maybe lemongrass a bit. It's a bit doughy too. You can definitely kind of see that. Oh, that's sweet banana bread. I can't get it off my mind now. Okay, also super fresh, but here this tonic sensation, you know, think of maybe Schweppes, that bittering touch. That's why I thought about grapefruit zest. It's much more present. It's much more expressive. It's much more interesting, in fact. It makes your mouth salivate much more, and there's this very distinct salinity, so salty touch. For those of you wine lovers who enjoy saltiness in wine, wow, very salty, really. This one is for you. Next, 2016. Things are getting more complicated here. Let's check it out. So, okay, listen. I mean, you see the color is much more intense here, right? 2016, so it's got enough time to develop. It's definitely giving me very brioche notes, so, but more on the really bread dough, you know, less of that sweet side, but more of a bread dough. It's a bit more subtle, so it's not like hitting you in the face. It's not like hitting you in the face with the citrus fruits. It's more like subtle. It's giving me also a bit of ginger tea aroma. Yeah. A bit like a light tingle too. So you see the aromas are getting a bit more complicated. Maybe dried fruits as well, more like dried apricots. That citrus fruits is a bit muted, but at the same time it's getting much more layered, much more interesting. It's a bit thicker. It's a bit compacted on the palate, you know? It's a bit like, Okay, next. Okay, come on. This is here. We see the intensity here is just absolutely spectacular. It's a 2002 vintage. Iodine note, chamomile tea, beeswax, butter muffin, a bit of dried pineapple. Oh, I didn't want to let it go. Wow. A bit of white pepper too. The salty touch is there, but it's much more exquisite. It's more of an iodine note. Lots of tension and this grip, you know, like, I got you. I'm not letting go anytime soon. So you're a good partner. Okay, I think that's it. Let me just put the contestants once again. Bye-bye. Bye. Ciao. Now, before I go, one more super important winemaking technique that is crucial to know if you want to understand Muscadet wines, and that is aging sur lit, or on the dead yeast cells. This is a very specific technique to the Pays Nantais, or where the region in the Loire Valley where the wine is made. And that technique usually means after the fermentation is over, the winemaker would not remove the leftover dead yeast cells from that fermentation. He would instead leave them right there in the container where the wine is left to kind of settle. And so what will happen is these yeasts, although they kind of are dead, they don't have much impact, but actually turns out that they do. And they would be in contact with the liquid, and the longer you leave them, the more impact on the wine they will have. For instance, the wines that spend from the Muscadet wines that spend 18 to 24 months on the lees, yeah, that long, imagine that. You don't bottle them beforehand. You just let them sit in the container. So those wines, they will have this very special character. They will have these creamy notes, yogurty notes, notes of the butter dough, these notes of banana bread or brioche bread, or even sometimes butter muffin. All right, so there you have it. That's it. I'll see you next time. Have a beautiful, afternoon or day or even morning. Maybe you're inspired to learn about wine in the morning. See you next week.